Hi beady friends, I'm back with another tutorial, and this one has been requested by Cathi. Hi Cathi. Cathi saw these tassels on a video I did about my bead room, clearing up my bead room, and Cathi saw these and she requested a tutorial because she'd love to make one. So here it is, Cathi. I'm going to give it a go just for you. Right, so if we look at this tassel, for instance, you can see that it's got two focal beads and it has got a closed ring at the top. Now, if you haven't got a closed ring when I go through the ingredients to me, it doesn't really matter. You can, if you look at this one has got a jump ring, and a jump ring is a ring that has been made that is split so that you can open it and close it to attach things to it. That is what a jump ring does. So you can use a jump ring as long as you make sure that you keep the split of the ring at the top of your work, otherwise your threads could escape through it. So as I was saying then, we've got a ring at the top that we can attach to a necklace, like I have here. Got this attached to a necklace, so this can be interchangeable. This is on a bit of a beaded spiral rope and then just some beads. So it is actually long enough to go over the head, but I put a clasp on because it can then become interchangeable. So let's have a look at that with the other. And there we go. Look how nice that looks. Lovely. And they're all the rage at the minute and anyway. So on this one I've got a disco ball and a big focal bead and then some seed beads. The beauty as well about these tassels is that you do not have to use branded seed beads. So as a beginner you tend to look at beads and think they're all the same and go out buying loads of beads. Well, that's great because you can use them in projects like this, and I have got another project in mind that you can use them on. But if you're doing something like peyote or herringbone stitch or square stitch, you wouldn't be able to use these beads as they are not all uniform. They are not all the same bead. They are not all the same size. So if I was just to zoom in, zoomy, oh, you can see the different sizes in beads. Like there's a great big long one and then skinny ones. So it's great in projects like this, but not for your day-to-day beading. So let's just bring you back out again. There you go. You can make these tassels into keychains, hang them from your rear view mirror in the cars, hang them on your handbags, look great as handbag charms. Loads of possibilities with these then. So without further ado, you can just scoop them away. Let's look at what we need to make these tassels today. I'm just going to widen you out a little bit more. So first off then, we're going to need some beads, aren't we? And today I am using a big silver bead for my top bead, which if I bring this into so you can see, that's going to be my top bead, that's going to be my focal bead, and today I'm going to put 3 on, and then obviously my closed ring at the top. And then for my seed beads I am going to be using 2 different colours of green to match my focal, and I'm going to split them up. I'm going to be using a very small, I think it's a 3mm bugle bead, and for the bottom if you look on these, so we can turn around and I'll show you what to do. These are little, I'm going to zoom you in. Zoom, zoom, zoom. These are what they call dragon scale beads. Can you see? Little tiny beads. So that allows us, once we've passed our thread down, we go through the bead at the bottom and turn around and come back up the bead. So those are dragon scales. But today, for a change, I thought I'd use some little 3mm fire polish beads. So little 3mm fire polish beads, and for able to turn around, some little 15s to go across the bottom. Okie dokie, yes, and they cost me £2.75 for that little tube of 15 beads. Expensive hobby, huh? Right. And so just move those out the way, and we also need some thread and we need a needle. Now I would suggest that you use a size 12 beading needle today, ladies and gents, and for our thread I'm going to be using a 1G thread. You can use nymo if you want to, if you've got that at hand, but if you do use nymo, give it a good waxing, because it's got a horrible habit of all curling up and knotting, and you'll be pulling your hair out before you've even started. So for this I'm going to be using 1G because it gives a nice floaty feel, and your beadwork will be nice and supple. And obviously the longer it's used and stood, it gets more supple. Okay then, so you'll need a pair of scissors to cut your thread, and you'll need a pair of jewelry pliers to squash our end down and allows us to thread our needle better, doesn't it? Remember that tip from the first video, the first tutorial. Okay then guys, so get your bits together and I'll meet you back here. So we're back then guys, got all our bits together, all the beads that we want to use. Now you can use any size of focal bead really, whatever beads you've got in your stash. As you can see on this one, these weren't big beads, these were only a 10. That'd been a 10mm bead at the top, and that'd probably 14, that's probably a 14mm. So any odd beads that you've got, these are just what I've chosen today. So normally when you're beading, you'd come through the top of your work, wouldn't you? So you'd come through this bead and then this bead, but you'd have a tail at the top end. So I found that really frustrating because I didn't want to have knots up the top end. So I worked out that if I came through the top bead first and then through the ring and then back through, I found that easier. And by that I mean like this. So pull your thread through, and by the way guys, sorry, I didn't give you lengths, did I? Try and work with as much thread as you can, a minimum really of an arm span and a half, maybe 2 arm spans of thread, and that gives you plenty because you don't really want to be running out on this project. So I need a tail then of about 6 inches, and I'm going to have that hanging out the side, and by hanging out the side you'll see in a second. So if I just hold that in my left hand, because I'm right-handed, and I just come back through that bead, leaving the ring like that, and just pull up that thread. Can you see, this is my working thread and this is my tail thread. So I'm going to hold that tail thread just for the time being. I won't have to hold it all the way through my beading project. But that's, like I say, is what I'm going to use to tie off some knots later. So, and it gives me good tension, gives me something to hold on to. So the next bead then is the green one. So I'm going to bring that, and then the smaller rondelle. Okay, and I'm going to drop those beads down to my other beads. And so we have this. You see? So we have our thread exiting there, our tail thread, and then we have these piled together. Okay, so this is our top part. Now it is fiddly in the beginning, but it gets easier. She always says that, doesn't she? I mean, what you can do as well, I mean, I don't know if you have any of these, but I've got little bead stops, so I can, just to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere and doesn't go through. Okay, so now I'm going to think about how I want my beads to lie then, and how long I want my tassel. So if we look at these, I think these are all 5 in sets of 5, yeah, so I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, so I've got 30 beads on there. But I want to add these little 3mm jump rings as well, and I want to put my little 3mm fire polish on the end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up 2, 3, 4, I'm going to pick up 4, and then the 3mm. And then I'm going to pick up 4 of the other seed beads, and see if I like the look of it. Yeah, it's quite a nice pattern. So then coming over to another 4 and a little 3mm, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one of those. See how many we've got. Oh, we need a bit more. So we'll go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we always need one of those. Let's drop that down to our beads and see how that looks, and see if we like it or not. So I'm just dropping it down. Do I like that length? I think that length's okay. Do I want to put another section on? Does it match these? Are them the same length? Them a similar length? I think I'm happy with that, guys. So I've got 4, a little 3mm, 4, and so on to the end. And then so we can turn our work around, and this will be so pretty on the end. A little 3mm file polish bead and a 15O on the bottom. That'll be our turning bead. Drop those down our thread. Missing out the 15OC bead. We need to bring our needle all the way back through those beads, ensuring that we don't miss any beads out, because if you do, it'll be totally noticeable. And don't worry, we don't have to do it all in one pass. So start pulling our thread up. So back through the other beads. Holding this thread so we don't get all knotted. Ooh. And again, going through these beads. All the way up to the top, through the first focal, through the second focal, hold our thread so it doesn't get all manged up, because we don't want that. Hold the bottom, pull our thread through, up through the top bead, through the hole at the top, she says, coming out there, pulling our thread through, making sure we don't get stuck on that bead stopper, pull that through, through the loop, and off we go again, going down all the beads, coming out of the bottom bead, can you see? Not passing through any of the seed beads. Now it gets easier from here, it's less fiddly. Okay, so just checking now to make sure it's the length that you want. Yes, I'm quite happy with that length. Making sure your beadwork is tight. If you are using a bead stop, do not let it get in between the top of your beads. Keep it to the side, but it does get easier from now. Okay, not so fiddly. So all we have to do then now is repeat the pattern. So sorry guys, I had a bit of a knot going on. So what we've got to do now is repeat the pattern so we know it's, let's bring you in a little bit. For me, you can choose whatever pattern you like, but for me, I've got 4 of these lighter ones, 1 little bugle, 4 of the darker ones, the bugle, lighter ones, the bugle, darker ones, little bugle. So we know that I need to do it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I need to make sure that I've got, because the darker greens are at the bottom, I need to make sure that I've got 3 lots of darker beads, so that makes more sense. So I need another set. So 1, 2, 3, 4, bugle, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just checking then now. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I've got 3 sets of darker beads. 1, 2, 3. So I know that I always have to have a bugle at the bottom. And then I need a 3mm fire polished and a 15/0 seed bead. And I just need to drop all those beads down my thread up to my beadwork. So to turn then, miss the 15/0 seed bead and go back up the fire polished, and then up all your seed beads, making sure that you do not miss any out. So if you miss them out, you will have a mess and it will just look awful. So I'm just going to pull through those beads. I'm going to go through some more. The last lot then, up at the top, Ooh, missed one out, see, be careful. Have a look, make sure I've gone through all my beads. I have. Go through the green bead, all my focals, poke my way through, up to the top, get my needle to poke out, which it is. Right then, I find it easier to hold the beads at the bottom, pull my thread up, and it works like a little pulley system. Woo! As you pull your working thread. Okay, so now we have 2 little dangles on. So here we are then. I decided I'm just going to put another one, so I've got 11, and I quite like how it is, but you can fill it up as much as you like, or as much as your thread passes or allow. So okay then, so I've attached my last one and I've come up to the top of my thread, and it's like, okay, so I'm here, what happens now then? How do I finish? So how you finish is, first of all, I'm going to try and come out down by this tail thread. I'm going to try and get my needle passing through the loop then, coming through here, and then trying to get through. This is where your needles get bent and all sorts happens, but that's why I said about using a 12 beading needle. See how bent it is. I'm going to try and get it through there. If not, it doesn't matter. I should just tie my knots off further down, and I can't, so let's go further down then. Well, not the same. You can't get the needle. I think you need. Oh, look how bent my needle is. I need to straighten it out. So let's just get the pliers on it. And straighten my needle out a bit. There we go. Please straighten the needle. Right, let's give this another go then. So let's go and get down as far as we can, see if we can, there we are. That's it, managed to get through. Right, I'm going to come through a few beads. Can you see? Come through a few beads. And I'm going to tie off a 1/2 inch knot. Let me bring you in a little bit so you can see. There we go. So our thread is coming in between these 2 beads. I'm going to catch the thread in between. Okay, so I've cut the thread in between. I'm going to pull my thread through, leaving a small loop, put my needle through the loop, pulling slowly, and make sure that that knot goes in between them 2 beads and pull. Okay, and then I'm going to go down a bit more, and I'm going to come between those 2 beads and I'm going to attempt another 1/2 inch knot, so catching the thread, pulling a loop, my needle through the loop. You can either go down or up, it doesn't really matter. Ooh. I'm not attaching my beadwork to it. Pulling the loop, pulling down slowly, and it's gone in between them beads. Now I'm going to go back up to the top and to come out. I'm going to find, oh, I haven't gone quite through the top beads, there we are, and I'm going to go down this one, and I'm going to tie a couple of 1/2 inch knots in here. So let's get into the middle. Okay, and let's tie off another 1/2 inch knot by getting the thread. Wow, there we go, getting the thread, pulling down a loop, going through the loop and going, do that again, go down a few beads, wow, not playing ball now guys, is it? There we are, going through the thread, catching the loop, pulling it nice and snug, and I'm going to go down here, and then this will be my final one. Come out there. Don't want to tie a knot there on a bugle because they're quite sharp. I'm going to come through 2. I'm going to pick up a thread, pull down my loop, go through my loop, pull it nice and slowly, and the knot in between, and then I'm going to go through these last beads and then cut off my thread. There we are. Down through the last bead and cut off my thread. There we are. That's that bit done. Right, now I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Zoom. Right, so now we have our tail thread. I'm sorry about the lighting now, guys. It's gone dark outside all of a sudden, and this light isn't the best light to film by, but we'll carry on. Okay, so what we're going to do now then is we're going to go round, holding, so this is causing a loop, taking our thread round in between the beads and coming back up through the loop and pulling. Yeah, do that again then. So this is our tail thread, going, wrapping it round the bead, the centre part, pulling the thread through the loop and pulling the loop down. Do it again then, taking the thread around the bead, around the centre of the bead, so we've got a loop here, bringing that tail thread round the back of the bead, and pulling it really tight so it goes in between. Yeah, and again, let's move around a little bit. Okay, wrap it round. Okay, so there we go again, wrapping. Another way of looking at it is putting the thread over the top, in between the beads, putting your finger on, putting these two fingers, wow, do it again. Wrap the tail end around, so it goes round, getting these two fingers, going through the loop, grabbing your, wow, grabbing your tail thread and pulling through the loop. Okay. Now you can put a little bit of glue in there if you want to, or you can carry on knotting. I might just do another knot, just because I can. There we go. And what I like to do on this is cut my thread and then burn it down. Where's my zip, zip, zip. Sorry guys, I didn't put this in the description. So there's my tail thread. And that just burns it down. And there we have our completed project. You have your very own beaded tassel. Any questions, guys, please leave a comment and I will answer all questions that I can. I will leave a description of everything that's used down in the description box. So all the ingredients, all the beads that you need, I will leave it down in the description box for you. Please give me a thumbs up. Let me see them thumbs. Thumbs, 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 thumbs up, thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. Don't if you don't, that's fine. And anything that you'd like to see, any stitches that you'd like to learn, herringbone, square stitch, peyote, whatever you'd like to learn, leave a comment and I will do my darndest to help you. I hope that you found this tutorial helpful. I hope that you go and make lots and lots of beautiful tassels, and I'll hopefully see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers guys. Bye now. Thumbs, 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 thumbs. Bye.